lopsided. A little better. Yeah, let's go with that. Welcome back to another episode of the Iron Purpose Podcast. This is going to be another JABS episode. For those who don't know what JABS is, it is Journey Alignment Brings Success. And, we all need some journey alignment every now and then, especially for myself. I'm talking primarily to myself and whoever wants to listen. I hope you can get something from it too. But JABS, Journey Alignment Brings Success. A lot of times when we're facing something difficult, we're facing an opponent, you're in the octagon, the boxing ring, whatever that may look like, you throw a jab to kind of judge the distance of your opponent. You throw a jab to reach to see how far they are, and also a little distraction technique before you can get the knockout punch in or that takedown, whatever it is you're looking for. And a lot of times life is just full of jabs. It's full of little things that we can do to get back on track, to seek success. And everybody's definition of success is differently perceived, different perspectives on success. But I think it's important to just think about what we need to do, even little things, to kind of get us back on track. And it's funny that I say the little things. I was thinking today when I went to the gym how a lot of times there are many minor, and you maybe thought I was going to say inconveniences there, but minor conveniences. How often we think of this, the little things that bug us or the little things that annoy us, and we don't really grasp the things that are minor, but they're convenient. And mine for the day was, and I had to take a picture of it to kind of remind myself, but I don't know if you've ever had this issue, but a lot of times when I walk into the gym to go work out, I am in the locker room, open up a locker, full, locked, open it up, full, and then finally you find one, and you're like, golly, okay, put all your stuff in there. Today I walked in, first locker I opened, empty, perfect. I had to stop and just take a second to be grateful for it. I know it's kind of weird to think about, but just the little things that you can be thankful for, the little things that can make a difference in your day. If you could just focus on them just for a second and maybe say, hey, thank you, appreciate that. Or, man, that was really nice. That was a convenient thing to happen to me. I challenge you to kind of find those things, and I may post that a little bit later on and see different things that you go through that may be a minor convenience for you. But, recently I've just been battling some stuff mentally about a situation that happened a couple weeks ago while I was at work. And if you listened to the podcast before, you have heard about the situation. I didn't go in great detail of it, but I was at work and I work in the jail, a correctional facility with a lot of different people of different backgrounds, different reasons why they're in there. And there was a certain individual who has kind of an assaultive behavior, and I didn't know at the time. Go into there to help him out, to get him some stuff, what he needed, and he ended up punching me. Got me right in the chin and just straight on. And my mouth must have been open because he hit me hard enough to where I couldn't shut my jaw afterwards. Ended up going to get medically cleared after that. Took the rest of the day off, and I went straight to the gym actually and brought those with me, and let off some steam at the gym at a heavy bag, which helped. It helped out. I think a lot of the biggest thing was just the mental aspect of what had happened. It was kind of embarrassing. And, that's the first time that has happened in that way for me at work, where it was just kind of out of nowhere. I didn't expect it to happen from this individual. I'd been kind to him, nice to him, showing him kindness as I do, and just popped me. He tried to get me a couple times, and I don't remember getting hit any more times. And watching back the footage, I was able to get my hand up and back away and create that distance like we train. And that all went great. And that's a difficult thing too, looking back on it, thinking, there's nothing I could have done differently to prevent it. Nothing I could have done, more, I kept my composure the whole time, was able to draw my taser, didn't end up using it, but he complied after that. And, the situation was fine. Afterwards, thinking about going back to work, even days when I wasn't going to be around this individual, I would just get these anxious thoughts, these anxious feelings. I talked to them with my partners, with some people at work, and I reached out to a therapist who kind of got me plugged in a little bit, gave me some options. I haven't reached out to those people quite yet. And I think it's because I'm doing a lot better with it. And it has a lot to do with what I'm going to dive into today with a topic. And that is just the thoughts that we have and how they really influence us and impact our day, how they impact our past. It's just focusing on the right thing rather than the wrong thing, or focus on the right thing rather than focusing on not doing the wrong thing. Because there's a lot of times where we say, man, I need to really, I need to watch my language. Maybe it's this music that I listen to. Maybe, who knows, whatever it is that you're struggling with. Maybe you have this addiction. Maybe you have these things that you're just trying to do better at, trying to not be angry, trying to do better with alcohol. And we say, I need to not do that. Okay, just don't do that. Just don't do bad. We're playing sports. Just don't do bad. Don't throw an interception. Don't tackle this guy this way. Don't, whatever your sport is, whatever thing that you're facing, we think, don't do this. Don't be angry. Instead of just being happy or just throwing a touchdown or just focusing on making the right takedown, just focusing on being that better person, drinking the water instead of that beverage, or listening to this song instead of this song, rather than thinking about, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. This is what I should be doing. This is what I'm going to do. And I dove into a book that Courtney got me. I think it was last year for Christmas, she mentioned, and I hadn't read it yet. And at first she's kind of like, the one that I got you last Christmas. She didn't say it like that. Sorry, Court. And I was like, yeah, I found it, in my stash of books that I haven't read yet. And she's like, yeah, the one I got you for last Christmas that you haven't read yet. And I told her, I'm happy that I didn't, because I really needed to read it now. And I'm only a couple chapters in, and I came across what is called the law of dominant thought. And I took a bunch of notes because I didn't want to miss out on any of this stuff, because it's really been on my mind a lot lately. And it has really been helping me immensely with just even my just day-to-day attitudes, day-to-day things. And then at work, not having those anxious thoughts. I met with a friend, I think it was on Friday after work. And that Friday I started diving into this book. And the next day got another chapter in, and they're just little like daily things. It's called Mind Gym by Gary Mack and David Castevenes. Super good read so far, but it's just like a daily kind of devotional thing. It's not faith-based, I don't think. I haven't gotten to that yet anyway, but just really great stuff to kind of get your mind prepared and mindset in the right spot. And I came across the law of dominant thought. The definition here is the principle that the thoughts you dwell on the most will shape your beliefs, habits, and destiny. That seems a little out there, but if you think you're a loser and you continually focus on that, you're not going to be confident. You're not going to succeed in what you want to do. You got to have that belief, this other mentality that I'm going to get into here in a little bit. But your mind will move in the direction of your most dominant thoughts. That's the law of dominant thought. So when I'm at work and I'm thinking about the time I got assaulted and some inmate becomes unruly in a different situation, or I tell them to do something and they start to show this, no, I don't want to do that, or they start to get agitated or angry, my mind immediately associated with this feeling that I had when I got assaulted, when this guy punched me in the face. It was just a really sucky feeling and made me feel insignificant. And I'm kind of getting ahead of myself a little bit. But towards the end of this, we talk about skill amnesia. And Michael Chandler talked about this in a video, and I was in Impact one day, and some of you know what Impact is, but it's at the jail. It's a program that the inmates apply for. They get in after being interviewed, and it's inmates making positive advancement, choosing transformation. And we just finished Resilience Week, and it's a week that I put together. And a video that I put in there was about Michael Chandler and how he had lost this fight and getting out of this negative mentality of skill amnesia, which is, I go into the ring, which is what he did, went into the octagon, and he lost. He lost 3 fights in a row, and he forgot who he was. He immediately was like, man, I suck. He went into training. If I can't win this round, I'm a loser. And he just kind of went down these lines and got sucked into this sinkhole of self-sabotage. And the skill amnesia made him feel like he was less than what he really was. It made him feel like he didn't deserve, or he didn't put in the hard work, and he wasn't destined for great things. It sucked the life out of everything that he was doing. And this is what happened to me. I would go into work and I would feel like I shouldn't be here. Why am I doing this job? And I never thought about quitting, but just going around in my mind, these feelings of, maybe I'm not cut out to do this. And, I got punched in the face, and I'm the use of force instructor, the defensive tactics instructor for the jail, along with a couple other guys. Why am I doing this if I can't overcome this situation? And these are all thoughts that went into my head, just like anybody else goes through, just like maybe you go through or are going through right now. This skill amnesia set in, and it made me feel like I was insignificant and unworthy of the position that I held. So if you constantly think I can't, you will live in defeat. If you focus on fear, you'll hesitate and miss opportunities. If you think on hope, strength, and God's promises, your actions will reflect courage and faith. So if you focus on fear, you'll hesitate and miss opportunities. And this is I have another example here, just working the other day in the jail. So when we're working in a unit, obviously people come into the jail and we have to put them in a cell. There's two bunks in a cell, depending on where you're at, either 2 or 1. And sometimes you have to room somebody up with somebody else. They get a cellmate, or a cellie is what we like to call them, or what they go by. And I was trying to figure out where I was going to put people. And sometimes you'd kind of think, okay, maybe I should put him with him. He'd be a good fit for this guy. And I had this one spot in the lower area, and there was an older guy in there, and he hadn't talked to me much, hadn't interacted with me a whole lot, so I didn't know much about him. But he just came across as just he'd sit in his window and he'd look out, and he'd kind of come up to the day room and kind of just do his thing and have this scowl. And I was like, this is where I'm going to put this new guy, but I don't know how he's going to react, and I'm a little nervous about it. And those thoughts were kind of moving around in my mind, of this anxiety a little bit of, what if he gets upset and I have to deal with him in this way? And boom, 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 boom. And I had to just, okay, focus on tactical breathing. And it's something that we learn in corrections or in law enforcement. And even in some therapies, they talk about tactical breathing. And the one that I like to do a lot is you breathe in for 4 seconds, count to 4 in your head, hold it for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, and hold for 4 seconds. You just continue this 4-second square of breathing. Long story short, these new guys come in, and I say, all right, sir, you're going to be in this cell over here, upper bunk, with this gentleman. He's like, okay. So he walks over there. He's walking over to the cell, and this guy is just staring out the window. And I can just, in my mind, the story that I was telling myself was, this guy's really upset. He's looking at me going, how dare he move somebody into my room? I don't want this cell. I'm going to show this guy. Goes in there and they start talking. I'm like, okay. And so far so good. And, later on I'm doing my visual rounds like we got to do in the jail, make sure everybody's doing okay. And I walk past that cell and I noticed the guy that I just put in there was crying, and he was obviously distraught. Nobody wants to be in jail. And this older gentleman who I thought was going to be an issue and complain, was kind of sitting down there, and I heard some of the conversation, and this older gentleman was giving advice to this guy, was helping him through it, saying, hey, it's going to be okay, man. All this stuff. And I'm kind of getting goosebumps talking about it now, but it was like, whoa, okay. Went back to my desk. Later on, the lower tier came out, and this guy was sitting at his table kind of by himself, crying a little bit. I could tell he was very sad. That other gentleman, his cellie, sat down right next to him and was talking with him again. And again, I heard the conversation a little bit, and he was encouraging him, trying to walk him through these things. I don't know if they knew each other. I didn't butt in the conversation. And at the end of it, I saw them shake hands, and I was just like, wow. That really hit me. And the second one here in the examples, if you focus on fear, you'll hesitate and you'll miss opportunities. Now, how many times in our lives have we focused on the negative or thought something bad was going to happen, that we missed out on a chance to either help somebody or help ourselves, or, get into a better position for our lives, or help somebody else do the same? Had I moved this guy in with some other younger guy, or maybe a different person, he could have cried, and that person would have, quit your crying, baby, or whatever. It would have maybe gone a completely different way. And if I had focused on that fear and hesitated, I may have missed an opportunity for that gentleman, this new guy getting incarcerated, going into jail, from being encouraged and helped by another guy who I didn't think was going to be capable of doing it. This outward appearance of this guy made me feel like he was going to throw a fit, not want a cellmate. He was going to come give me an earful because I put somebody in there with him. And instead it ended with him shaking the hand of this individual who was really distraught and having a hard time, and he was there for him in that moment. Man, that hit me so hard. And it made me wonder what other opportunities I was missing by focusing on the negative things that were going on in my life, by focusing on what if this or what if that, rather than just saying, boom, this is what's going to happen, and it's going to be a good thing that happens. James Allen, in the book As a Man Thinketh, it's another book that I'm kind of going along with, this one. So this is just like daily little like 3-4 page challenges. And then this one, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, was brought to my attention again by Michael Chandler through some of the stuff that he's worked with. And I talk about this guy a lot, and it's really because he has helped me out immensely, especially with mentality and really diving into these topics and thinking about these things. So shout out to him. If you get annoyed by it, I guess you can just watch a different podcast. It's immensely helped me, and I hope it can help you out as well. But anyway, As a Man Thinketh, and it's all about, as we think, so we are. The way you think, that's the way you're going to be. As the Bible says, you're going to sow what you reap. James Allen in As a Man Thinketh writes, that's a mouthful. James Allen in As a Man Thinketh, nice, nailed it, there we go, writes, you are today where your thoughts have brought you, and you will be tomorrow where your thoughts take you. So again, we talk about this negative thoughts. We think about the inconveniences of life and the different things. If we wake up, oh man, the alarm clock's going off again. Okay. Look outside. Oh, it's raining. Dang it. All right. Well, that's a bummer. Okay. Well, I'm going to go to work. Oh man, what if I get punched in the face again? Dang. Okay. Just piling up the negative thoughts that are going on in your mind, just piling up these things. How is any sunshine going to get through this barrier of negativity, this barrier of skill amnesia, this barrier of gloom and doom? How are you going to let any sunshine come through? And how are you even going to be able to focus on that sun or those positive things, or waking up and going, man, God, thank you for another opportunity to wake up, to hear my son cry, go pick him up out of his crib and see him smile, to wake up and to get out of my bed with my own 2 feet, to go to the gym, sitting in the sauna after a really brutal workout, trying not to throw up, and just sitting in the heat, sweating, dripping from my brow, thinking, oh, this sucks. I got to get out of here. Man, I really got to get out of here. And remember, I'm talking, I'm breathing. I just did a workout. I just got in here on my own 2 legs. I walked in here on my own 2 feet. I'm breathing. I'm seeing, I'm feeling. And those are opportunities that I have. I get to do this. I get to do the things that I get to do. I get to go to jail, and I get to be there for other people and help them out. Scripture reminds us, for as he thinks in his heart, so is he. That's Proverbs 23:7. Again, as you sow, as you think, as you plant the seeds in the ground, that's what's going to grow. Those things are going to grow. If a farmer is throwing the seeds of pumpkins down and he's thinking it's going to be something different, it's just not going to happen. He knows what he's putting down into the ground, whether it's negative or positive, that's what's going to come up. Smiling is life. This is another example that I have, and a lot of my examples are coming from the jail, and that is because that's where a lot of my experiences come from. And they're pretty cool. A couple times a day, a medication cart comes in, and all the people that are in there get an opportunity to come to the med cart and take their medications that they need for whatever variety of things that they are. And this one individual came down because he needed some glue for his dentures, and they were talking back and forth. We were all kind of talking, and the nurse that was there was talking about her coffee and how important it is. Oh, my coffee is life. I love my coffee. And this, and she's talking about the glue for this inmate's dentures in his teeth. And he was saying, well, this is the best way to start my day. I can't go on with my day without it because it's what helps me eat. It's what helps me chew, whatever. But he didn't say anything on those things. He said, it's how I smile, and he said, smiling is life. After the nurse said coffee is life, he said, smiling is life. And when I coupled that statement with what I had been learning in this book, Mind Gym, I came to the conclusion that when we choose to smile, it leaves no room for a frown. A smile and a frown, they can't coexist. They can't be simultaneous. You can't do them at the same time. Okay, you can stop trying. If you're trying to do that, it's just you're looking silly. But smiling and frowning cannot coexist. And when you said smiling is life, it's like, man, that it really is. Having this positivity, having just this sunshine state of mind, shout out Brian Kelly, sunshine state of mind, is just so freeing. And when I can focus on those kind of things, when I can focus on this individual in jail who's choosing to say smiling is life, rather than the negative ones, the ones that want to lash out and try to hit me or hurt me, instead of thinking, man, I wonder if I'm ever going to be able to get over these negative thoughts. I got to get rid of this negative thought. Rather than having those thoughts, just smiling. Insert positive thought. Insert, positive affirmation for yourself. When I was going through school, I was going to a gym and Anytime Fitness. Wasn't super confident in my physical form, my physical abilities, my gym knowledge was very lacking. Didn't really know what to do. I'd go into a gym and I'd try to just kind of see what other people were doing and kind of figure it out. And I just was not in my element. I think I was getting in over my head. And so I wanted to talk to one of the trainers there, and I can't remember his name, and I'd like to go in and talk to him again someday soon, if he's still there. But whenever I go in there, he'd make a point to point at me and say, "Hello, champion," or "What's up, champion," or "How you doing, champ?" Every single time. No, there's no way that he would know that I had a champion status in anything, whether it's sports, whether it was career accolades. I was a young kid at the time. I was maybe 20, 22, 21, going to the gym, trying to get my mind right, trying to get, mentally, physically fit. And that was one thing he always said to me when I came in. He greeted me and called me champion. Maybe he didn't know my name. And maybe it was just something that he did as a dad to his kids or something, called him champ, sport. I don't know. But there was so much truth in that, so much truth in the fact of him identifying me as champion. And I think it had a lot to do with my confidence, a lot to do with my mental focus going into the gym. He probably saw that I was a scared little kid, way out of my element, way out of my comfort zone. And by calling me champion, it instilled this purpose and this passion within me. It lit this fire underneath me to help me understand that I'm in there not because of anybody else. I'm in there not to compare myself to anybody else, but to go in there to do my work, not to think about what was behind me, not to think about what was ahead of me, but to focus on the moment and say, I am a champion. I got this. Let's lift some weights. So it was super cool. I want to make sure that I added that story in there and how important it is to speak champion over your life, and how important it was for me that he did that. He saw that in me, and it lit this fire within me. So now going through this situation several years later and being reminded of that story, it was super cool for him to do that. And it's something that I'm going to do more in my life, as it is really helping me out. So, speaking champion, the adversity in our lives tempts us into this skill amnesia. And there is a counter to that. There's something we can do in response to that instead, and that is speaking champion over your life. Champion mentality means reminding ourselves of our training, our calling, and our identity, whether that's in Christ, whether that's in writing down on a piece of paper. If you go back and listen to the episode with Miranda Maverick and on this podcast, I don't remember exactly which episode it is, but she talks about how in failure, she writes down things that she knows that she is 100% that other people cannot take away. Her identity. I'm a mother. I am a sister. I am a friend. I am a daughter. I am a Christian. I am a fighter. Fill in the blank. That way, when something gets taken, whether we get a loss, maybe you have a bad day, maybe you lose your job, but they can't take away who you are at your core. And for me, that's a man of faith. That's a father. That's a friend. That's a husband. Nothing can take that away. That is my identity. And when I speak champion onto my life, I am not giving room for these negative thoughts to come in. When I am speaking, I am no longer listening to the negativity that is swirling around in my mind. I don't even give it a chance to talk. When I say I am a champion, and in Mind Gym, it talks about having these words that bring us back to this flow state where you can think of, what was something that you did that was really cool. You just crushed it. You had an amazing day, whether it was at the gym, you hit your personal best, whether you're at a meeting and you just knocked it out of the park and you made everybody happy in there. You made the big sale. You became a father for the first time, going back, playing sports. Maybe you just crushing it in sports. You had a heck of a day. You're a quarterback. You threw a touchdown. Insert whatever that is for you, that mental highlight reel, whatever that was. When you speak champion over your life, it is taking away the power of that negativity And it is inserting that power that you feel when you're in that flow state of, I am at my best. And only you can decide when that is. Only you can decide how to respond to different things in our lives. In an episode on here, I guess it was a couple months ago now, my friend Corbin talked about the two things that you control in your life at 100%. Nobody else can control them. Nobody else can take them away from you. And it is your attitude and your effort. Only you can control how much effort you put in, and only you can control the attitude that you have, whether it's negative or positive. So while I was going into work, I was thinking about all these negative things that were going on. I was thinking of the time that I got hit. I was thinking, what if it happens again? And, don't get me wrong, I think it is important to think about if it happens again, but if is the key word. I was so caught up in it's going to happen again. And there's people that think this is never going to happen to me. You got to float somewhere in the middle of there thinking, okay, what do I do if this does happen? And, I've taken those steps, and I'm confident in that, and I'll be okay. But these thoughts just overwhelmed me. These negative thoughts overwhelmed me of this skill amnesia, saying you're not good enough. You shouldn't be in this position. You shouldn't be teaching other people self-defense and defensive tactics, use of force situations, because this happened to you. And nobody told me this. Not a single person told me this. Not my sergeants, not the administration, none of my partners. Every single one of them said there's nothing you could have done differently, and you handled it very well. You finished it, you kept your composure, but for some reason, those thoughts, I was still telling myself, you're not enough. I was telling myself, I can't. I was living in defeat. I was focusing on the fear. I was hesitating, and I was missing opportunities. Because if I'm in jail and I'm thinking about all those different things, maybe there is someone that really needs to hear what I have to say. And if I'm so focused on the negativity or what I have going on, I'm not able to help this other person. It just makes me wonder how many opportunities that I'm missing to help other people or help myself grow by focusing on this negativity. I talk about adversity a lot, but this one has just hit me a lot differently. Thinking about speaking champion over my life, focusing on the smile, those different opportunities to smile, focusing on the light, focusing on champion rather than focusing on, man, I'm not this, I'm insignificant, I am less than, I am irrelevant, insert whatever word it is. And then not only that, but thinking, you know what? Well, hey, I'm not irrelevant. I'm not a failure. I'm not, I'm not weak. I'm not a loser. Even focusing on those words, just saying, I'm a champion. I am strong. I am confident. I am capable. I am worthy of love. I am strong. I am fast. I am sharp. I am smart. Focusing on those. Champion. I am a champion. Can really work magnitudes, and it has helped me immensely when thinking about work and having to go back in there, thinking of positivity, thinking of the light at the end of the tunnel, thinking of that sunshine, thinking of the positivity, thinking of my son smiling when I come home. It can be that. Nothing can take that away from me. The only thing that can control my attitude and my effort is myself. Now, other things can influence it, yes. But when it comes down to it, nobody or nothing can take that away. Champion declarations for adversity. I am equipped for this moment. I have overcome before, and I will overcome again. God has called me to victory, not defeat. I am more than a conqueror through him who loves me, Romans 8:37. So practical challenge for this week. Write and speak daily champion declarations. When negative chatter rises, catch it, confront it, and replace it with a champion statement. Where have you been listening to chatter? And that's those negative thoughts talking. If you've heard of Crash the Chatterbox by Stephen Furtick, or even heard of any of his preaching, he refers to that negative self-talk, that negative self-doubt, that negative bleh on our lives as chatter, something to come in and distract you from God's calling on your life or your purpose in life. Where have you been listening to that chatter instead of stepping into blessing, stepping into champion? Smiling is life. Speaking champion is life. Frowns and smiles, defeat and victory cannot coexist. One will dominate. The law of dominant thought says what you continually think and speak will shape who you become. So declare it daily. I am a champion. This is Iron Purpose. Stay sharp, everybody.